It's insane that that's just left out of school. There are few topics more divisive than the current state of the education system around the world. The last script I wrote on this subject came out 18 years after I left school, and around about the time my own child was beginning his educational journey. Well, the part of his educational journey controlled by the government anyway. Down with the government! We should all be educating our own children. No, I don't believe that, because it would be really a lot of work. Before he started school, he already had a tested vocabulary of someone twice his age, could make a basic meal with minimal supervision, and could set up all of the advanced power tools in my workshop, although I feel it's important to add he was not actually allowed to use them. Sadly, he reached the age at which the UK government has mandated that all children must attend school in order to begin the state-controlled brainwashing, and so off to school he went. I don't know, so my youngest, we went to school for a year now, and they love school, and I think, they're not getting brainwashed, they're just learning nice things and hanging out with their friends and learning to write and it's so nice. Don't get me wrong, on balance, I think I am pretty much in favor of school, especially because everyone I've ever met who has claimed to be home educated was a bit weird.
A little bit about me, I was the last child of all of my siblings to stop breastfeeding, so...
Just before we continue with today's episode, I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, Keeps. Now look, I'm not exactly the poster child for hair loss prevention, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't take action. It's just too late for me. My hair's not coming back. Isn't it sad? But that doesn't have to be the case with you, because Keeps is an online subscription service that makes it super easy and affordable for men to treat male pattern baldness right from the comfort of their home. No need to visit a doctor's office or a pharmacy. Everything is done online, whether you're trying to prevent hair loss, stimulate hair growth, or just take better care of the hair you have. Keeps have got you covered. They offer clinically proven treatments personalized just for you, delivered right to your door. And guys, Keeps is discreet. They deliver everything in non-branded packaging, so your little secret stays that, a secret. Plus, you can adjust, pause, or cancel your plan at any time. It's just that flexible. With Keeps, you complete an online consultation, get matched with a licensed medical provider who tailors a treatment plan to your specific needs. It's all based on science, and most men start seeing results within just 6 months. They've treated over 1 million men in the last 6 years and have over 5,000 5-star reviews. So, if you're ready to take action against hair loss, head to keeps.com/Simon or click the link in the description below. That's keeps.com/Simon. That's me. And thanks to Keeps for sponsoring this video. But I can't help thinking, and my wife claims this is just because I'm old, that school taught you more useful things back in the day. Yeah, it is because you're old, Dave. Generally, I do think things improve over time. School's probably one of those things. Back then, though, kids were actually learning stuff at home before they attended school, rather than receiving an iPad for their first birthday and being left to figure it out for themselves. Now, if you think that I'm being unnecessarily harsh to modern-day parents, and that kids starting school today are no less equipped for the real world than they were back then, please consider the following before you light the comment section on fire. Firstly, I'm a modern-day parent and have no problems admitting that on occasion I've stuck my child in front of a screen in order to get a little peace and quiet. Secondly, according to the results of a poll carried out by the early years charity Kindred, in which 1,000 primary school workers were questioned, 28% of children starting school do not know how to use a book, tapping and swiping rather than turning the pages. 29% cannot eat or drink independently, and 25% of children are starting school still in nappies. Wait, don't children start school at 5? My kids have not been in nappies for a long ass time. With this last one being up 50% since 1995. If you take all this into consideration, combined with the fact that the world we live in is now so litigious that the mere thought of a child doing anything even remotely fun will have many parents speed dialing their legal team, it is perhaps not all that surprising that children are leaving school with far less useful skills than they may have previously done. Having said that, the modern day curriculum has dropped many racist, xenophobic and sexist teachings, so it's not all that bad. As always, I shall leave it to you to decide whether these changes are for the better or for the worse, so please join me in putting on your rose-tinted glasses. Mine are obviously also polarized, as we take another look at some of the things that are no longer taught in schools.
Lessons not over, Sonny.
Okay then, home economics. Wait, home economics is no longer taught in school? Oh, I had HE. It was one of my favorite lessons because you just gotta f*** around and cook rather than actually learn things.
Some white people cooking school or something.
Remember that between 10 seconds and 10 minutes ago, depending on whether Simon went on a tangent or not, dude, we're only 3.5 minutes in, babe, not bad, not bad. where the sign went on a tangent and I mentioned sexism. Well, let's start with that. Home economics, also known as domestic science, was officially removed from the UK school syllabus in 2016. Okay, that's right. 11 years after I left school, they removed home economics. But what was it? Well, according to an article on superprof.co.uk, home economics is a subject that involves a variety of useful subtopics or disciplines, such as the following: how to manage personal and family finances, consumer issues, housing and interior design, nutritional facts, basic to advanced food preparation, learning more about textiles, sewing, and basic apparel. Wait, we just did cooking. We learned none of this. I think personal finance is one of the biggest oversights that's left. Like, I knew how to do a P&L sheet, and I had no idea how a credit card works. It's insane that that's just left out of school. Maybe instead of learning how to make hot cross buns, I could have learned about, personal finance. And I've always been pretty decent at personal finance, but many people are not. Sounds pretty good, right? The sort of things that all children should leave school knowing how to do. The trouble is, until the mid-90s, this class was almost exclusively available only to girls. Okay, so I went to secondary school from 1998 to 2005, and I vaguely remember that home ec would be only taught to girls. I think that was something that was still in the school's memory, and the boys would go off and do DT, design and technology. Because, girls belong in the home and it's the boys' job to go out and get a job with a drill.
Push me, and then just hurt me, till I get my satisfaction.
To give you an example of just how sexist this class was, here's a genuine question from a GCSE exam paper. Your brother arrives home late after a school football match. Describe how you would wash, launder... Good lord. What year was this? And iron his PE kit ready for the next day, taking into account that some items were muddy and torn. Well, you're not going to wash out the tears, are you? Now, I don't have any sisters, but I know Simon does. How would they have reacted had he come over from school with a muddy PE kit and thrown it in their direction with instructions that it had better be ready for tomorrow morning? Well, one, I'd never come home with a muddy PE kit because the effort I was making in PE was absolutely minimal. And, I don't know, my mum did my laundry. I didn't do my laundry. I guess that's a little bit sexist.
Dick.
But wait, it gets worse. According to my mother-in-law, and several other ladies of similar age, home economics also included such useful information as how to apply makeup and choose clothing that would maximize your chances of securing yourself a nice young man. The past. But what about in comparatively more recent times? Well, the topics seem to have been rendered more or less redundant with the introduction of the food technology and resistant material GCSEs. What the is resistant material? What is that GCSE?
Stupid.
As far as I'm concerned, this is a shame. I took the food technology GCSE course purely on the grounds that I thought it would be a great way to learn how to make decent food. Alas, I spent at least 60% of my time researching and writing about nutritional values. I did not care about those then, and nor do I now. Taking a quick look back through some of the old home economics classes, the cookery aspect seemed to be much more about wholesome, delicious food than food that might make you live forever, but will keep you ever so slightly hungry. Don't get me wrong, I do believe that vegetables have an important part to play. It's just that part is to raise the animals that I shall later eat. Yeah, I mean, look, cut out the middleman. Why eat vegetables when you can just eat animals that have eaten vegetables? It's science!
You got something to eat there?
Having given this matter the weighty consideration it deserves, while also having lived with students who were so abysmal in the kitchen that they could burn water and struggled to budget for a night out, let alone a whole month of real grown-up expenses, I firmly believe that this topic should be put right back on the syllabus. I think learning basic cooking, I know people who can't cook, and it's like, I don't know, I can cook. I think partially my parents are very into cooking, so I got a bunch from them, but also I learned the basics of fucking school. Like, that home ec class, I think we did it for like 2 or 3 years, like once a week, an hour and 20 minutes once a week. You learn how to cook. Obviously, both boys and girls should have to participate, and you can probably get rid of things like makeup class. After all, if you want your kids to pursue an unattainable illusion of physical perfection, you could just sign them up for Instagram or TikTok. Yes, I know YouTube can be just as bad, but it indirectly pays my wages, so be quiet, and it doesn't, and it directly pays mine. Thank you, business daddy! Metalwork, woodwork, etc. While the girls were off learning how to cook, clean, do the accounts, and basically everything else important to maintain a home, the boys obviously had to be equipped with the necessary know-how in order to secure the job with a drill that I spoke of earlier. In the UK at least, such skills as metalwork, woodwork, and technical drawing came together under the umbrella of Design and Technology, DT, in 1990. Yeah, I was terrible at DT, but I did enjoy it. I'm not a handy dude, to the surprise of absolutely nobody watching this. Well, I was like, can you put this picture up on the wall? And I was like, no, we pay people to do that. Just get them to do it.
Lazy bastard!
Then I come home and the pictures are all hung and I'm like, what happens? And she's like, yeah, I just called people and they came and did it. I'm like, you're goddamn right. As far as the US goes, I'm not entirely sure. My research seems to indicate that these lessons were called shop class and are now called Career and Technical Education, or CTE. Wait, isn't that brain thing that the football players get? Whilst both of these topics still exist, they are but a shadow of their former glory. Even when I was at school, there was a fairly well kitted out workshop complete with various table saws, miter saws, pillar drills, and even one or two lathes. Yeah, there was a whole other building for like DT, where there was like 2 floors of like crazy machines, and I loved it. You'd be just, what's this machine do? Oh, that's like a furnace or something. You'd be like, yeah, furnace! Although you weren't technically supposed to use any of this equipment without both the express permission and supervision of the relevant teacher, in reality, assuming that he or she trusted you not to cut off your own hands, this rule was very rarely enforced. In fact, knowing that you would get to use some of this potentially lethal equipment was the main draw to choosing a design and technology course for GCSEs. Personally, I didn't feel the attraction. I'd been using such equipment since I was about 12 and had no wish to do so while surrounded by testosterone-filled idiot teenagers. Unfortunately, for anybody currently held temporarily but frustratingly hostage by the education system, those days appear to be far behind us. Dave really hates the education system. I quite liked school. I don't know. It was good. I learned how to do shit. And I think my kids like school. I think it's good. I mean, look. Everyone has a different experience, your mileage may vary. The website of the Design and Technology Association, who appeared to be in charge of setting out various guidelines with regards to the usage of power tools in schools, makes it pretty clear that they would be much happier if none were used at all. For example, they have this to say on the use of band saws. To clarify for those viewers whose DIY knowledge stops at a small handsaw, a bandsaw consists of a continuous metal blade or band mounted on 2 rollers. We are, of course, not talking about saws that have been banned. Is that an attempt at a joke? Because that is weak, dude. Just stick to what you're good at, telling people whether to use power tools or not. The Design and Technology Association strongly recommend that no student under the age of 16 should use one, supervised or otherwise. It is felt that the risk of severe injury far outweighs the possible benefits from its use. Because I'm awesome at my job, I carried out some extensive research for this section, by which I mean I called a few of the local senior schools and annoyed them until they told me what power tools they have, and the list was meager indeed. The most well-equipped educational establishments are nothing more exciting than a couple of pillar drills and 1 small table saw. I guess this is like a health and safety. I could go back to my old school and just go to the DT, but half of it's empty. And there's just like 1 screwdriver that you have to use by hand.
Bigger must be more gooder, right?
And then they get rid of that because someone called John stabbed someone called Peter in the leg. Given the countrywide propensity to sue anybody who even sneezes near your child in the US, I was initially somewhat surprised to discover that rules over there are a little more relaxed. However, given the very real danger that most schoolgoers are in every day, losing your finger in a lathe might not be that concerning. Nevertheless, children using power tools in school seems to be on the decline everywhere. Given the almost incalculable amount of money you can save by not having to get a man in every time you need a little bit of work done around the house, this is a great shame. Yeah, but getting the man in is just easier.
Ha! Gay!
It's like, look, the way I figure it, right, is I go to work and I earn money. And if I can go to work and earn that money, instead of being at home and hanging up a picture, and the amount of money I make at work is more than it costs for the man to come in and hang that picture, net, then obviously I should just go to work and earn some more money because I'm not like on a fixed income. It's like if I go to work and work, I'll get paid more. So, I don't know. I it's fine. It's fine. Could I hang a picture? Probably. Do I want to? No, I don't want to. If it's not fun, and if it doesn't make me money, why am I doing it? Plus, as long as you're paying attention, power tools aren't really that dangerous. Now, if you'll excuse me, I will have to go and bring this entry to a close because my hand is hurting for reasons completely unrelated to a table saw injury I sustained last summer. Proper computer programming. When I first started coding, I learned the BBC Basic programming language on an Acorn computer. Remember those, Simon? Yeah, vaguely. Then when I took my first elective coding lessons at school, we moved to C++ coding. Now, I'm fully aware that the majority of you are not programmers, so let me give you a little bit of friendly background information. C++, for me at least, was complicated. Yeah, I remember doing C++. That is complicated. The syntax is far from intuitive. You have to know a lot more about low-level system memory management than is good for your health, and there are so many traps into which a novice will inevitably fall that it is infuriating enough to piss off the Pope.
It's a trap!
Nevertheless, I persevered and gained reasonable competency in yet another field that has never earned me any money. Back then, even HTML, the language used to write websites, had to be created manually. Oh my god, and I remember that as well. Jesus. You could not just log on to Squarespace, fantastic long-time sponsor of the show, thank you Squarespace, drag a few things around in a template, and have a beautiful professional-looking website in under an hour. This isn't an ad read, but it could be. All that being said, you can imagine my annoyance when I discovered that although schools are claiming to teach programming, what they're actually teaching kids is how to link together pre-existing blocks of code. Honestly, Dave, I'm about to disagree with you because I think this is probably more useful. Like, learning how to work with something like ChatGPT in order to make programs and learn how to command that is going to be more useful than actual programming. I'm not sure if you're as bitter as I am about the hours and hours that I spent going through my code line by line looking for the one tiny mistake that prevented my script from running, but I really don't feel that learning to drag and drop equates to programming. Initially, when I first heard about this heresy from my youngest brother, I assumed that the drag and drop method was used to help young children get started and help mitigate the soul-destroying early failures that put off all but the most stubborn learners. After all, as everybody knows, allowing children to fail at anything these days is strictly forbidden. However, when the first lockdown began, and just before Simon started paying me to write things, I was so bored that I started a bachelor's degree in computing and IT with the Open University. There you go. When I got to the first coding module, I discovered that this method of not coding was also used to teach beginners. What made this even more annoying was that the program they used to teach this drag and drop programming was completely inaccessible with any screen reader software, and actually writing the programs they wanted from scratch like I did was deemed to be not demonstrating a full understanding of what had been asked of me. The educational system. So there you have it. As far as I'm concerned, unless you've been through the psychologically damaging experience of learning to code the old-fashioned way, you should not be able to call yourself a computer programmer. This feels a bit boomery though, Dave, to be honest. And look, we're exactly the same age, so I get where you're coming from, but it's like, times change. I'm fully aware that this may cause some outrage in the comments section, but unless you can register your opinions in the form of a binary without Googling how to do so, I'll not be taking any of it seriously.
You know, binary is just ones and zeros.
Yeah, I know what binary is. Jesus Christ, I memorized the hexadecimal times tables when I was 14 writing machine code. Okay? Ask me what 9 times F is. It's 75.
You should tilt your head back if you get a nosebleed. Those who are too stupid to learn the guitar play drums. Those who are too stupid to play drums play bass guitar. And those who are too stupid to teach a real subject teach PE. Having been really into contact sports when I was a kid, I quickly became very familiar with one of the more common side effects of these sports, the broken nose. In addition, after leaving school, I spent a few years engaged in several slightly less reputable activities, and these also resulted in more than a few nose breaks. What are you up to? What are these activities that result in you getting your nose broken all the time? I genuinely don't know. You like street fighting or some shit?
And with the approach, in replay, every excruciating. Wondering when, the ball drills Sterling right in the face. That man's nose must be a shot. The substantial chance that man's nose is not broken right now.
Almost every time I became afflicted with this unfortunate condition, I would also experience an unexpectedly heavy nosebleed. Every time this happened, I would take the advice given to me by every PE teacher I ever met and tilt my head backwards to stop the bleeding. It wasn't until I was quite a lot older that I discovered in much the same way that running 5 miles in the wind and rain doesn't actually build character, this advice was as useless as a PE teacher in a spelling competition. Wait, I kind of do believe that running in the wind and the rain and stuff builds character. It's like, if you go out there, I guess it depends if it's of your own volition. Like, if you're waking up at 5 in the morning to go outside and it's freezing ass cold and get a run in, I think that builds character, although then you've got character already because you're getting up and doing it. If you're forced to go outside by a PE teacher and do it, then that's kind of bullshit. I agree. Okay, I agree with you, Dave. Sorry, I thought it through. Live on the air. This advice really was as useless as a PE teacher in a spelling competition. Originally, I just assumed that it was all of my PE teachers who were idiots, but a quick search online revealed that until fairly recently, this was the standard advice issued by academically challenged sadists everywhere. It turns out, although tipping your head back will stop the blood running out of your nostrils, it just makes it run down your throat instead. Yeah, PE teachers are sadistic. I remember we had a PE teacher. He was a South African dude. And he had this like strong South African accent. And we were out at sports one time, just doing PE or whatever. And I don't know, we were just fucking around or whatever. And he's like, listen to me, gentlemen. If you do not do... listen to me, gentlemen. When I was a boy, if I misbehaved, I would be beaten. But I cannot beat you. All I will do, I will make you run and run and run until you puke. And it just sent us on huge runs, just endless runs. It's miserable. According to Healthline.com, what you should apologize for my South African accent. I mostly got it from that movie with the diamonds and Leonardo DiCaprio where he's always saying brew.
You know the bush, right, bro?
Smoking will kill you, bro.
That's for breaking my TV, bro.
According to Healthline.com, what you should do instead is lean forward and pinch your nose. Pinching the soft, fleshy part of your nose below the nasal bone for about 10 minutes can help compress blood vessels and stop bleeding. I tried this fairly recently when, after wrestling with my German Shepherd, I suffered yet another episode of nasal trauma, and it is indeed much more effective. Even better, while speaking to a friend of mine who failed all of his GCSEs, got kicked out of art college, and was unable to successfully complete the application form for McDonald's, so is now studying to be a PE teacher. I discovered that this is the advice that's now passed on to students. I wonder how many unnecessary buckets of blood have been collectively swallowed over the years before this advice was updated. On that happy note, it's time to bring this episode to a close. Before I go, I suppose I should apologize to any PE teachers whom I've offended. Although, as far as I know, Brain Blaze is not yet released in a comic book form, so I should be okay. Thanks for being here. Fuck the down with the government!